Right here with another video. In our last course, we were learning about introduction to machine learning, where we built a model from scratch, and we were able to expose it via Fast API. And so today we want to continue where we left, and we want to try and deploy this to the cloud. And just to introduce ourselves, we are Yacooti, and Yacooti is just a podcast that helps businesses and individuals to succeed by providing valuable digital skills training online. So we are Yacooti everywhere on the internet, on X, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. We are Yacooti, so please follow us and please like and subscribe to our channel, like our videos so that we can grow and reach more people. So this is the video. If you didn't watch it, I recommend that if this is your first time dealing with machine learning, that you go through the first course. We are able to train a model and to expose it and to consume it somehow, to make it spit out some predictions. So today we just want to make it available on the cloud. And thank you. Welcome to the course. Without further ado, allow me to go to the course. So today, I have this guide. The link is available in the description, but I want you to to pay very close attention to something. So there's this repository where there is the deployment repository, and then there is another repository that we are going to see that contains the code from the first course. So from the first course, if you start building from here, you won't build anything because I will push all the code here after we finish building. But then the code from the previous class that we are starting from is in another repository. So thank you so much. Let's start. So we have some prerequisites. Make sure that you have Docker installed on your computer. Very important. And so you just go to Docker here, and you go to the downloads page, download, and it will show you your version here, whether it's Windows, Mac, or Linux, and then you can download Docker on your machine. Once you download Docker, also make sure that you create a Docker Hub account, so you can go to hub.docker.com. If you don't have an account, it's going to prompt you to create an account, because after we have built our Docker image, we need to push it to Docker Hub so that it will be available to the server when you are pulling the image. When we need to run the image now to make our code available on the internet, we will need to push it first to Docker Hub. So Docker Hub is a repository of very many Docker images. So if you are using Docker for anything else, you already know this. But if this is new to you, this is where many organizations all over the world and individuals put their code. They build their Docker images, they publish here, and then other people from all over the world can access. Yeah. All right. So with that having been said, we also need a small budget between $20 to $30, but you don't really have to worry about this. This is only important if you're really going to deploy to the cloud, but the course will always be here, so you can always come back to it to be able to deploy. But otherwise, if you'd like to really follow everything to the last minute, you can please prepare a small budget of $20 so that we can use that to purchase a domain name. So that will be the address that people will use to access your application, and some cloud storage that where our code will be stored. So if you're new to cloud storage, if you're new to how these things work, when you want your application to be available online 24/7, there are companies like DigitalOcean, Amazon, Google Cloud that have cloud storage that is available online 24/7. So you pay them a little money to rent the space on their cloud storage, and you can be able to deploy your application there, which is what we are going to do in this course. So domain name will act as the address for the outside world to access your model. And if you don't have a domain name and you would like to purchase one, please, you can use this link. Just open this link in a new tab, and go to Namecheap. And here from Namecheap, you can be able to, if you go to domains, you can start with this. So you just search for a suitable domain name here. For example, I would say Yacooti.com, and then you can search for it. If it's available, they will allow you to purchase it. And this is just for testing purposes. You don't have to be afraid. You can, if you don't have an account, they will prompt you to create an account. You might be requested to pay something like maybe something like $10, and then if it's your very first time using Namecheap, you can also use this coupon code. I'm sure at the time when you're creating this, there'll be a different coupon code. It will be able to deduct even more, so that you can purchase with around $6. And then once you are done with that, make sure that you avoid purchasing hosting space. So if they try to ask you to purchase hosting space, please don't, because you are going to use hosting space from somewhere else. The one they provide on Namecheap is not suitable for an application like this. So after the domain name, also make sure that you purchase the cloud storage. So the cloud storage is where our model and application code will be stored, like I said, so that it can be served through our domain name. So it can be a DigitalOcean, AWS. Like we said, AWS is from Amazon, GCP is from Google, that is Google Cloud platform, and then MS Azure is the product from Microsoft, or any other hosting provider that can host a Docker image. And if you don't have this, you can use this link. I've also provided another link. So if this is actually my affiliate link, so if you purchase, I'll get a cut every time you pay. Not every time you pay, but for the first time you're going to pay. But the initial time that you use this product, if you use my affiliate link, DigitalOcean will give you this $200 credit, $200 credit, and then you will use it for 60 days, which is 2 months. So you can be able to deploy your app and, play around with it, create as many droplets as you want and delete them. And as we are going to see how to do that until your 60 days will be over. And then after the 60 days, they will now require you to start paying. So for me, I normally pay something like, is it like $10 or $15 every month, where I host my apps that I normally play around with. So if you would like to do the same, please do so. So you'll get those free credits, and you might be required to pay $5 initially. So you just pay $5 and you'll be able to get those $200 credits for 2 months. And then from there, now you will pay the price of your usage. So if you're using 2 droplets, each is $5, then you'll pay $10 each month. Okay. All right. So we learn how to set up everything. So for now, you can just create an account here on DigitalOcean and on Namecheap, and then you leave it at that. Then we will set up together when we reach that point, because for me, I already have these two. Okay. All right. So please pause the video, go and do that if you want to. But if you just want to follow the course, or if you're already done with that, we can proceed. So the first step in today's course is to set up the project. So we want to set up the project. For everyone who's new, please, you can proceed to download the code from here. You just open this in a new tab. And so it's called, it's Yacooti / cost of living forecaster. So this is the initial code that we built last time. You can read about what we were building, and make sure that you also download the data set from Kaggle. So Kaggle, we also have an account on Kaggle. So this is a community for data scientists and machine learning enthusiasts. So the data is here. You can be able to download it and use it now. And then you can also read much more about this. So this is how we set up the application and access it on the internet. All right, so this is the correct repository. So let's proceed to follow these instructions. All right, so I will navigate to my computer, then I will start a new. I will open my Windows. I'll open my Finder. It's Windows Explorer on Windows, and it's something else on Linux. So I will start by navigating to where I normally have my projects. So I have my projects here. So my machine learning projects are in here. So what I'm going to do is to just open up a terminal window, and I'll drag this directory here, and it's going to navigate me into where I normally have all my machine learning projects. So from here, that's where I'm going to run this command to clone from GitHub. So if you don't have Git installed on your machine, if this is your first time and you don't know anything about Git, please, on the original code in our cost of living forecaster deployment guide, the link in the description, I have put a getting started with Git here. So you can please follow this guide to get started with Git, so that you can set up some keys in your, you can follow up to number 4, so that you can set up Git on your local machine, and then you can come and follow. Yeah, so we also have a course on our channel about Git if you really want to follow that, but this guide is quicker from getting started with Git. All right, so let me run this command. All right, so there's cost of living forecaster. Okay, I'll just do this again, and then I'll pass in a name. So this is how you create a new project. This is how you clone with Git, and then it will create a new project on the computer. But for me, I want to call it, instead of calling it forecaster, I just call this for deployment. So for you, if you can call it whatever you want. So if you followed the course last time, you already have this project. This step is just for those who did not follow. So for me, I'll call it this, so that I can be able to tell them apart, because I don't want to use the previous course. It contains code that I'll keep updating for, at least for the first timers. Yeah. So I'll allow it to clone the project again, and I'll just use ls to list what we have. So we have this project that has just been created. So I will cd into that directory, and yeah, you can see we are in, and then I will ls. So you can see all our code is here that we did in the class in the first lesson. Yeah. So for now, after doing this, now I can proceed with the rest. So you do, if this is your first time, you clone, and then you cd into the directory, because we are going to run a number of commands from there. And then if also this is your first time, please, you can install Python dependencies. If you follow the last course, we said that you must have some basics of Python. So if you have basics of Python, we're assuming that you already have Python installed on your machine, and Python comes with pip. So pip is the package manager for Python. So if you already have that, please, you can install this. So just run this, just copy this, and paste it in somewhere in your terminal, wherever, in a new window or whatever, and just run it. So for me, I had already run this command, so I have all this installed on my machine. Now, after installing that, you need to train the model. So after installing all the dependencies, you now want to run, because this will install Jupyter Notebook, and Jupyter Notebook is what we want to use to train our model. So I'll just run that command I'll run this in my terminal. If it doesn't work for you, please just find out how to run Jupyter Notebook in your terminal, how to install Jupyter Notebook, and come back and run this command. Or if you are doing it any other way, you're using Anaconda or anything, you can just open your notebook and then navigate to that directory that has the project. So for me, I normally do it this way so that I can be able to so that it just opens in my directory, and then I can take it from there. Now, if Jupyter Notebook opens successfully, you should be able to see this directory. So you'll have a README, an entry point, and then this notebook. So we'll open the notebook in Jupyter, and then you can see the code that you were using last time. Okay. Now, as you can see, our code here requires this Nairobi cost of living data. So I have Git ignored it. So if you download the code, it doesn't come with it. I've Git ignored this dataset because it's a bit heavy, and I've also Git ignored the model. So that's why we have to retrain now so that we can, we can use it. So I'll proceed to download the dataset again. Although I have it on my machine, let me just do this. Download as zip. It's requiring me to sign in. I'll just sign in. For me, I already have an account, so if you don't have, please just create one. It will be very beneficial. You'll be able to find data sets and many other things. All right, so I'll just do this, and my data is here. So I will go back to my directory and then my project, and then I'll just drag this into the project that we just created now by cloning. So our data is available. Now, once our data is available, if you are a Python coder, normally it's always good to have a code editor. So mine is Visual Studio Code. I'll just open Visual Studio Code. So we want to see what our project looks like. So if you don't have Visual Studio Code, please make sure that you install it. If you've been following the course, we already have it because we used it last time. Okay, so I'll just again navigate to that directory that has my project, and then I'll open. So when you open it, you should be having all this. So you'd have the data, you'd have the notebook, you'd have the entry point, the README, and everything. And so the only thing that I want you to do is to create a new folder. If you don't have it, call it models, and this folder will contain our models. So we are going to train a model, and then it will be dumped in here. So let's go back to our notebook in our browser, and I'll just run this code. We give it a minute to run, and then it will run and dump, print some records here as it says here. And then we want to run this part. So what this part does is it helps us to prepare the features using our data. And then we do one hot encoding. We split the data into training and testing. Then we train the model using XGB regressor. And then this is XG Boost. If for those who are not aware, this is the model that the model algorithm that we selected. And then Joblib will help us to dump the model in our project. and then we will do some predictions, and then we'll print out those predictions, and then we'll finish with the evaluation. So let's just run this part again. All right, so our model has been trained and it has dumped some predictions here, so we can evaluate it. The evaluation says that our mean absolute error is that, mean square error, and our score is that, R squared score. So that is all we need to do for this part of today's course. Is just like a refresher of what was going on last time, and also to just make sure that we have built our model and it's available. So now if you go to this file, you'll be able to see this to our directory. You'll be able to see our model now is available here. Now from there, we want to proceed and do the rest of follow the rest of the course. So I can maybe save this and then leave, because I no longer need that. I'll just close all this that I don't need. Now the next step is to try and run this so that we can test if our application is working fine. So once we run our notebook and we have trained that, I'll go back to my directory, to my terminal. And so this is the terminal that is running Jupyter Notebooks, but I have another one. I need to open another one. I need to open another tab, and then that is where I'll run Uvicon to serve our application in the browser. So let me just go to this link that has been provided to us by Uvicon. And you can see our app is here. If we go to docs, you can be able to see it. Everything is just working fine. Let's try to do a small prediction. We have predicted something here. Great. So our app is still working fine. So if everything is working fine, please, you're good. If not, please just try and follow the steps in this first lesson first. So you'll see lesson 1, just follow this instruction. If you didn't follow the course, you would like to follow it, please, it's here. You can just click on this link and go to YouTube and follow it. Otherwise, for now, that is it for the introductory part of this lesson. Let's go now to building Docker and everything. So I'll close this. Then I will terminate this process so that we can proceed. Now let's go back to the deployment guide, and this code is available. This link for this repository is available in the description, so please just click on it and then open it. So once we have finished setting up the project, now we can create a docker-compose.yml file. So we need to create this file in our root directory. So I'll just create a new file, docker-compose.yml, and then we will add that code. So I'll just copy this and add it in there. Then I'll explain. So it's like a configuration file that is going to provide instructions on how Docker should run our application. So if you want to specify a port, if you want to specify some environment variables, if you want to specify everything that you want to specify, the image that Docker is going to use to instantiate our app, we are going to do all that in here. So for now, the only things that we need are very basic. We'll just need, it's going to try and pull this image from Docker Hub. So I'll just say Yacooti cost of living forecaster version 1. So this is the tag, this is the name, and this is your username. All right. And then this is the container name on our local machine. Docker normally stores so many other containers. You need to customize the container name so that Docker doesn't give it some random name that you can't recognize. So that is it for setting up the Docker Compose file. And we are going to build this, so don't worry if you don't know where that is coming from. We are going to actually build it on our local machine. Right. So the next step is build and push Docker image to Docker Hub. So I'm hoping by this time you have already created your Docker Hub account. And if you're already logged in your terminal to another Docker Hub account, you will need to log out first, but I'm going to show you how to do that. Our next step is to create a requirements.txt. So this will contain the requirements that we need in our Docker container. So I'll just go ahead and do that and create a requirements.txt file. So this will contain all those dependencies that we saw. So if you check, okay, we already closed that, but these were the requirements, the dependencies that I was telling you to download, to install on your computer, and they need to also be available in our Docker container, so that our model, all our code, our Python code that is available here that is helping us to serve our model, will be able to, to run successfully. So we will need all these dependencies in our container. And then now, after having the requirements file, the dependencies file created, we now need to create a Dockerfile. So a Dockerfile contains instruction on how Docker should build our image, of what should it include, and everything else. So for those who are new to Docker is just it's an abstraction of the operating system. So it's just like a mini operating system that contains everything that our application needs, so that you can just grab it and you can put it in the cloud, you can put it somewhere else, and it will always run, because everything that the application needs is in there, instead of installing it on the entire computer the way we are doing with the pip install. Once you build that container here, when you go to your server, you don't need to install anything else. You just need to run your Docker container and everything will be fine. So instead of going to now do every step again that we did on the local machine, Docker will use these instructions to do everything for you, and then you will package it and put it on Docker Hub, and then that's the end of you running anything. Right? So we will just proceed to copy this, and we come back to our application and we just create a file, Dockerfile, without any extension, and we will paste our instructions in here. All right. Okay, so we are instructing it to use an official Python image with version 3.10, and then we need to set the working directory as up, and then we will copy requirements.txt to the Docker container, and then we will run pip install dependencies, these ones. Python packages will be installed in the container, and then we'll copy projects files, so all the files in this directory will be copied to the container, and then now we can be able to serve everything like this. So that command that we are running manually in our terminal, now Docker will be running it for us, and we will just once we start Docker, our application will be available in our browser without us having to manually run this command. So at a basic level, this is it. This is what we need to be able to build a Docker image. All right, great. So once you have that, let's proceed. Now, the most exciting part, where we get to build the Docker image. So we build it. So once we build it, it will be stored locally, and then we will push it to Docker later on. But let's just try to build it locally, and then we try to start Docker locally and see. So now this is the part where you need to start Docker. So if you had downloaded Docker and it's not on, make sure that you start Docker. So I'll just start Docker. So Docker has started, and then I will log in again. So I'll log in, then I will Alright, so my Docker is set up and I'm logged in as Yacooti into my Docker. So make sure that when you click here, you see the username that you want to use. Great, so that's it. After doing that, now you are ready to build Docker and to push it online. So let me just go back to our instructions. So this is the command that we need to run. Docker build. So make sure that you change the username here from that placeholder to Comel do Yacooti. So let's try to run that. We see what happens. Yacooti. Alright, so now we are in. We will proceed now to try and run the command again. Alright, so once we log in, it's able to build our image. So it's gonna take a minute to download everything. So it looks like we are done. And you're good. As you can see, it downloads quite a bit of things. And so if your machine doesn't have a lot of space, you might end up in a fix. But that's just how Docker works. So if you're planning to get a machine, maybe 1 terabyte and above would be good if you're working with Docker. And also sometimes it uses up a lot of memory. So yep. So we are good. I think in our requirements, I think we might have to leave out some things. Where did it? Oh, it's here. The file is here. So we might have to leave out XGBoost. I don't think we need it here because this was used for training but for consuming the model, I don't really think we need it anymore. So I'll just comment it out because it looks like it's installing a lot of extra things in our project. So just make sure that you try it without it. If it causes problems, then you can bring it back. But I think in the container, in the requirements text, you can leave it out, but then make sure that it's installed on your machine, on your computer. All right, so that's great. Let's proceed with the next steps. So let's try to Docker Compose up. Once we have made sure that our image is available. So for now, the image has been built, but it has been stored on our computer. So we are going to need to push it online if we need to have it on Docker Hub. So great. So yeah. So I think it's live here. So I'll just follow instructions. So I'll just click on this. I'll just open this link in a new tab. And you can see our app is available. So now you can see it's running from Docker. It's not running anymore from our local machine or UVCon. It's running from Docker. So we can still just access everything the way we did with UVCon, but now everything is being served from Docker. So at least we've seen that we have been able to deploy to Docker. So let us follow the rest of the course. So what I'm going to do is I'll just leave it at that while it's running, and then I will we already logged into Docker, so we are going to skip that. We are just going to push this image. So I will open another terminal window, and then make sure that you open it in the project directory where the project is, and I'm going to do Yacooti. Yeah, so we'll give it a minute also. I know it's going to take a bit of time to upload. Our images are completed uploading, so we can go online and go to GitHub and check our repositories. And we can see that our image has come through. So yeah, our Docker image is fine. Now we can be able to use it on the server. So now we go to the next steps, which are even more interesting. Yes, so we have been able to push the image to Docker. And I'm sorry if you are having maybe trouble with the internet and you're not able to push the image online. You shouldn't really worry that much. I know Docker can be a little bit of a headache, especially if you don't have a powerful computer. Yeah, but it is the best tool when you're dealing with things like this, because you don't have now to start fighting with versions and you know, having to install things system-wide, things that are only needed by one application that you're building. So embracing it is a very good. So if you're not able to set it up, please try. If not really, you can just follow along. Then you can always come back when you're ready. But I would really recommend that you really try and set it up. All right, so let's go to the next step, which is going to DigitalOcean. So like I told you, if you want those credits, make sure that you use this link up here. You'll get 200 credits, but if you don't need those, if you are willing to pay some amount, it could be like $10 you're going to see, then you can just proceed to pay. So for me, I'll proceed to sign in. All right, so I've been able to log into DigitalOcean, so I hope you also have been able to log in. And as you can see, I already owe some amount here for my projects. Yeah, so after you have logged in, you can maybe create a new project here and name it whatever you want to name it. And then inside that project, now we can create a droplet. So a droplet is just it's like a virtual private server where you can be able to do your own things. It's still like a container of sorts. It's easier to use that because now you have control over the entire VPS rather than putting it in something shared where you're restricted or something like that, or in an automated platform. So you can be able to just configure everything freely. But if this is not your thing, you can even set it up. You can just set it up however you want, and that's still cool as long as you are able to follow along the course. Now I'll create a droplet. So if you want to copy your key, you just do cat and then .ssh, then id whatever .pub. So you copy the public key. You don't want to copy the private key. Never give anyone your private key, because they're usually if you check your SSH directory, there'll be ls tilde /.ssh. You'll be able to see for each file there's always like the one that doesn't have an extension is the private, the one that has an extension is the public. So if you don't ever give anyone the private key, because now they can be able to get into your systems. So yeah, so you can see for me I have so many keys, and I think it's trying to use this one, so I'll have to copy that. That's why I'm saying I have to run this command. So I'll just run it from terminal, that is somewhere safe, and then I'll go back to DigitalOcean. I'll do the same. I'll select Frankfurt, and then I'll do regular. I'll choose $6. I just call it Yacooti. Alright, I'll paste the key here. I had to hide it from view. And then so I've added a new one. I've called it Yacooti, and then I'll change the name here again. I'll call it let's call it cost of living forecaster, and then everything is fine. $6 there. So the $6 will be recurrent every month. We'll give it a minute to create the droplet, and then we will try to SS it. Right, so I'll copy the IP, go back to my terminal, and SSH root at that, SSH root at, yes, and we are in. So we are in the server, and as the root user, so we are going to proceed with the tutorial. So this instruction, we have already done that, so let's proceed. We are going to create a sudo user, because it's usually not good to deploy applications as the root user, so we have to create another user. So I will just proceed and run that, and I'll create a password for that user. So the name is Yacooti, the room number, whatever. All that information is correct, yes. So we have created the user, and we need to add them to the sudo account. So I'll just add that. And remember, the name we used is deploy, but you can choose. So this is the name of the user, still name of the user. So this command is going to add them to the sudo group. So sudo group will just allow them to have permission to run, like install software and do changes to the operating system that they would not be able to do if they were not added to the sudo group. All right, so this is very important to make sure that they can install updates, run things on their machine without, running into permission denied issues. And then now the last command is to log into that particular account. So we log in into that particular account that we just created. So it has moved from root to now deploy. So deploy, we're in the deploy account. So from here now we are free to do a lot of things. So yeah, so from here, again, since the other key that we pasted in DigitalOcean in the user interface was in the root directory, we have to also create another one here. So what I will do is I'm going to copy my local key again, my local public key. Remember, you always copy the .pub key. I'm going to copy that, and then I will do okay, let me see, ls. You see, if we have we actually don't have the .ssh directory. So since we don't have that, let's try to generate one. I'll just generate some key. I'll generate a key on the server. So I'll just copy this command and I'll generate a key. I'll just call this yacooti.com. I'll say hello at yacooti.com. And then we just enter. So I don't want to put a passphrase because we're going to use it on GitHub, this key. So it's no loss for us. So once we have the key, now we can do cut. This key, as you can see, has been generated on the server, remember? So cut. But we'll run this later on. Let's leave it at that. So ls, and then I can do the ssh. Now you can see the ssh directory has been created. So now we can proceed. So this is on the server. Now let us go back to our local machine. So let us go back to our local machine. Let us go back to our local machine and run the command again. .ssh to copy id.pub. So you run this again, and then you copy the key that dumps in the terminal, and then you go to DigitalOcean. Where is that? Not really to DigitalOcean. You go to the server, and now we do nano. So there's a file inside the .ssh directory that is usually called authorized keys. So all public keys that need to access this server are usually put in here. So I'll just also put mine from my computer. Once you put your key, sorry, I'm being a bit too cautious because these are security keys. So once you run that command, the nano command, then you do control O, then you do enter, then control X. You're going to see that with something else, but for now, just bear with me. So if we do again ls, we can see now we have added authorized keys. So that will allow us to SSH directly into deploy rather than going through root and then coming to this directory. So let me just demonstrate that. So I'll do Control D even on the Mac, then Control D again to get out of the server. And then now, instead of doing root at 164, I'll do root. Remember to use your own IP. This is mine. You use yours. So deploy at that. give it a minute, and we are in. So we can now go directly to the user without even going to the root. So we just go to the root when we need to add like another user to the server, but for now we just stick with deploy. Now once you have created a sudo user, do we really need this? Okay, I'll need it for myself, but for now let's continue the tutorial. So we are done up to here. Everything is working fine. Now we need to do another thing, another very important thing, which is to copy our keys now from the server, and then we ID. So from the server, so I'll have to open, where's my server terminal? Okay, so we need to run this. We need to copy our public key from the server. So this key here, then we put it on GitHub. So I'll go to GitHub. Was I logging anywhere on GitHub? Yeah, so here, and then we will go to settings. Here's our settings. All right, Yacooti settings. You can see settings. Our settings is here, and then we go to SSH and GPG keys, and then we will add. We just call it cost of living, and it really doesn't matter. And then you paste your public key there, then you add, and it will prompt you for the password. You confirm, then your key will be added. So you can see the key that we added here. So now the same way we need an SSH key to log into our server from our machine. Also, if we need to pull anything from GitHub, we need to add our public key of the server to GitHub, you see. So there is a private key on the server that will send a request, an encrypted request to GitHub, and then GitHub will be able to decrypt that request using the public key that we added here. So any system that has to log into another system, you have to have the private key on that system and the public key on the other system, so that when the primary system sends a request to the other system, the other system is able to decode the request. Okay, fine. So that's fine. So we are good. The other thing that we need to do is after doing that, now we have added our key to GitHub. We need now to clone this, but this is not the project that we are cloning. The project that we are cloning is this. So let me just so for you will clone yours. So now it's empty and I can be able to push to it. So when you clone the first time, so yours will be like this. So what you will do is you will copy this. Instead of using this, you will just copy this. It's assuming that you have not added the URL. So if this is for adding, so git remote add origin is for adding, but git remote set URL. So I'll just fix that by doing git remote. Instead of add, I'll say set URL. So that is used for updating the URL. And then now I can push. So now it will push to my repository instead of pushing somewhere else. And remember to always click on SSH. So it has pushed my changes to this. So if I reload, called add, git add, git commits, new readme, and then I'll git push. So we had updated that, but I hadn't committed it to the other push. So yeah, our updated readme is here, and we can proceed with the course. So where had we reached? We had reached here. So this we go to the server and we clone the project like this. So for me I will do this, and then I will copy the URL here. So you do the same, but for the project that you pushed. So I'm sure your repository will be different from mine. So you wanna pull from yours. So just the steps that I just followed a few minutes ago to recreate this, the same steps that you're going to use to create yours. All right, great. So once that is done, I hope we are still logged in our server. If not, we are going to have to, because after some time it logs you out automatically and you have to connect again, which is okay. It's a security thing. So I'll just do it again. And this is the old one. This is the old IP. Or I get a new one. Okay. Let me log out. I need to log in as deployed. Great. So we are in, and we now need to clone the new project. So I will go to the step number 3, the last line, and then I'll just copy this. And not really this. I'll copy from here, because this one down here is just an example. It's not a real URL, so it's just an example. This one here is just an example, so I'll do this, and then I will now just specify the name. So if you leave it without specifying the name, so you do the URL, then space, then the name, it's going to give it this particular name, the name of the repository. Okay, so this was supposed to be git clone, and then this. And I say yes. Yeah, so it has already cloned our project, so we can go to cost of living forecaster. If we ls, everything that we have on our computer has been brought here, so we are good, right? So all our code here is now on the server, and let's proceed to see what next we need to do. So we need to do a couple of things on the server to just update the server. Let's run that. So if you remember your password for the user that you created, I think I've forgotten mine. I'll just try again. Yeah, so that's it. Give it a minute to update. I'll just press tab and skip all those. So our system has upgraded. Now we need to install Docker. And just press OK, tab to skip those, then press OK. Then I will enable Docker so that this command tells the system to always start Docker in the background when the system starts. And then the other thing that we need is docker-compose, because docker-compose helps us to run many Docker containers at once using a docker-compose YAML file that we created, this one. So we need to make sure that that is available. Great. So we've made it available. We can now give it the proper permissions, and now we can run Docker version just to make sure that everything is okay. Docker is fine. Then Docker compose, also check it's fine. So everything, Docker and Docker compose, are installed on our server. All right, so we need to start Docker when you add the D flag here, it's going to start in the background. All right, so if you see the one we started here, it's running, so you have to, like, if you want to leave the server, you'd have to like interrupt it. But if you want it to run in the background, you have to add the D flag. Okay, so let's just do Docker compose up. So maybe I'd have to do sudo so we give it a second. So this is the only command we need to run, docker compose up nd. So it will pull the image itself from Docker Hub, and then it will start our application. So we give it a minute. Great, so Docker is running. We proceed to the next. Where are we? So we started Docker. Now we need to check which Docker containers are running. So we just do Docker ps sudo docker ps, and we can see that the forecaster is running at this port and it's available, so it's running. You can see our Yacooti image from Docker Hub is running, so we are good. We have passed our test. Now you remember the domain we were talking about from Namecheap, so you need to make sure that you remember the IP address from DigitalOcean. We now need to go to Namecheap to go and set up this advanced DNS record. So for me, I'll use a different method, but for you just need to copy this Then go over to Namecheap, log into the account that you just created while buying the domain. Let me just sign in again. And so when you log in, you'll end up here and you will see the domain that you purchased listed just in the dashboard as you log in. So you'll click on manage. And then instead of going to this page, you go to the last one, advanced DNS. So you will find that it looks like this, and it has a bunch of things here. So what you'll do is you will edit these records. So for example, for me, I will add an A record. So for www, then I'll do this. I'll add the IP. Again, here I will change it to A, and then I'll do this, and then I'll update and update. All right. Yeah, it's correct. So droplet IP. So then we give it we give it some time for these A records to resolve. So this is going to point this domain ryomido.com to that particular server. So if I check, so for now it's actually pointing to that server, but it can't connect now because we haven't finished configuring it. All right. So I have pointed this to that server, but I also want to do it some other way because I already have a domain on DigitalOcean. So for me, I'll create a subdomain here. So just go to networking. And I already have some domain here. I'll just go here. So this is how you can add cost of living forecaster. And I'll select this one. So you see it brings you the droplet that you created, and then you create that. Right. I'll leave it at that for now as we proceed. Yeah, so I'll try to ping it from my terminal. But before that, let's just finish setting this up. Normally we have something called uncomplicated firewall, UFW. So the UFW, it allows or disallows connections, it blocks ports, and you can use it as a firewall, as a basic firewall on a server. So for me, I'm going to add this rule because we are, as you saw, our application is running at port 900, so we have to allow that. And try again. Right, so I'll cd into whatever directory is here, cost of living forecast, and then we go back to our guide. We run again that. I enter my password. Great. And then sudo ufw enable. I say yes. So the firewall has been enabled. So it's going to disable many ports. It's only going to allow those that we specify that it allows. Okay. Great. And then now we need to install a reverse proxy server, and I like to use Nginx, but you can use any other. So I'll just install Nginx. What that means is it's going to tell the server that when a request comes to that domain that we just created, please point it to this particular place. So that's all there is to that. So just say yes, then this one size 2. Great. And then I'll create this. So this is now an Nginx configuration file where you specify those particular rules that you need. So I'll just run that command here. It will open up in my terminal, and then I can be able to paste. So I've pasted that. So you will put your 2 domains here. So one, the www variant, and then an www variant, so that when somebody accesses any of those, it will be available it will be able to return a response. If you just do one, then the other one will always bring back an error, or it will just refuse to connect. Okay, so that's it. So I don't remember so I'll just paste it here. So that is my domain. That's all I need to do from my side. I think for you, you need to put both of them. So for me, I only have one, so I'll just add that. So like we said, once you edit this file, Control O, you can even see here to write out, and then enter. So Control O, where was that? Write out here, it's here. Then if you want to exit, Control X, then you can exit. Now we have created the Nginx configuration file. So you can have as many websites as you want on this server. So all configuration files for those particular websites, you put them here. So it's just to tell Nginx how to serve your website, where configuration files are, and everything. So just know that. Of course, you can look into that more, but for this course, that is just sufficient. After doing that, now we need to enable the site. So as you can see, that this is the site available directory. But if you were to sudo ls etc nginx, just to list what directories we have, sites. Okay, let's just leave it at that. Then if we do this, you'll see there is sites available, sites enabled, and all those things. So when you want to just list the configuration, you put in sites available. When you want to make them available to the outside world, you put them in sites enabled. So we just need to create a symbolic link that will put like a shortcut inside here. That shortcut will link to the configuration file that we just created inside sites available. So that the symbolic link has been created. So if we do ls nginx sites available, you can see that we have cost of living here. But also if we do sites enabled, we have cost of living. So the one in sites enabled is a shortcut that links to sites available. All right, so we go to the next. Now that we have everything, we need to install Certbot, but I think this command is not up to date, so I will update it later on. But let's use a different command and just do Certbot. Nginx on Linux. So let's install snapid. On Ubuntu, just install this. So this is going to enable us to install Certbot, and Certbot is what will help us to add SSH, not really SSH, like HTTPS to our domains here. So Certbot will help us to install a free SSL certificate that we'll be using. So let's just go and do that. So Certbot will install our security certificate and it will always renew them. All right. So let's just run these commands. I will add them to the documentation, so don't worry. So you just need to go to this URL. But by the time I finish this, I will have added them to our README, so you don't have to worry about that. So the email address that I need to add is melo@yacooti.com. You must agree to the terms. I'll just say yes. So yeah, they're asking us what we need, the accounts that we need for the certificates to be installed. So I'll just say, you can see if you did the configuration well, it will auto detect that domain and it will list here. So I'll just put 1. So if you have more than 1, you separate with space. So I have 1. So for you, do 1 and then space, then 2. But for me, I'll just do 1. Then we wait a minute for the certificate to be issued. It seems there is a problem. All right, so maybe we need also to allow, okay, up list, I don't know. Yeah, so let's allow this. So let's allow Nginx to operate freely through the firewall. We see if that will make a difference. Allow sudo Nginx allow Nginx full, and then we do freeload. So I think Nginx is being blocked. So let's try that again. All right, so it was our firewall that was blocking Nginx, but now it's working fine. So I think now if we go to this domain, we should be able to see our website. All right, so you can see our website has been deployed. Can we see the documentation? Yes, we can, and we are online. So if somebody in the United States were to go to this URL, they will be able to see our website. So we are doing well. All right, so I'll just try something. All right, so I can log out of my server. Really excited about this. Let me open Postman so that I show you. All right, so I'll just let's create a new collection. I'll just call it Postman. Is what is used to test APIs, so it's just a software for testing APIs. So I'll just call it Yacooti. I don't know if we have something similar here. we don't. So I have Yacooti, and then I'll add a post request. We close allow tabs. Right, so a new request. Right, so it should be a post request to this URL. So it will be /forecast. So I'll just do forecast. All right, and I just say forecast, and then I'll send. So for now it's saying, so when we don't send any data, you can see it's predicting something, but whatever it's predicting is this default values, so Umoja and 2026. So let's try to change that and say we send some parameters. So we would say we want 2027 and we want current, and we send that. All right, so this is how, okay, sorry. We're supposed to say year, and then we put the value here, 2027, area, put that, and then you send it. You see now it has changed the value to 245,200 and something. Let's say 20, let's say Westlands. Westlands, send it. It's bringing us 163,000. It's a bit cheaper. And the other area is, and it's saying unknown area, expected one of Embakasi, Githurai. So if you send a wrong value, it will tell you what areas you need to specify. So yeah, so we will be able to improve it. I think later on we will add authentication so that people can log in, and then we will add also a UI, a user interface, so that people won't be needing to do it via a client like this, but they just log in into an entire system, and then they will find a user interface where they can be able to interact with different things and send requests back to our app. So yeah, I think that is great. I hope this has been very helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for following. Have a great one.